Messina is the third largest city in Sicily. It is found in the northeast at the Straits of Messina, facing Reggio Calabria on the Italian mainland. The Straits of Messina made Messina a highly strategic location, and this factor has dominated its history. All potential invaders had to reckon in some way with Messina, the gateway to Sicily. To learn more about La Bella Sicilia, consider subscribing. The city of Zancle was founded by the Greeks in the 8th century before Christ. King Zanclus was the first king of Messina, named Zanclo in Italian. The city of Zancle was renamed to Messina in the 5th century after the ancient Greek city of Messene in the Peloponnese. Reacting to an earlier clash with Dionysus, the Carthaginians sacked Messina in 397 BC after the Battle of Messene. Himilco, leader of the Carthaginians, dispersed the population and completely destroyed the city. Himilco wisely did not set up a base in Messina, as he knew he could not hold it long term against his mortal enemy Dionysus of Syracuse. Indeed, Messina was retaken by Dionysus, but he himself failed to fully wipe Carthage from the island of Sicily. This wider conflict, the Sicilian Wars, continued for some time. As time passed, the city of Messina was rebuilt from the ashes, only to challenge both Carthage and Syracuse. In 288 BC, Agathocles hired the Mamertines. These were Italian mercenaries from Campania, and seized the city using treachery. How did they do it? Well, the people of Messina allowed the group of travelling Mamertines into their homes. Suddenly, the mercenaries betrayed the hosts, killed the men, took the spoils, and divided the women. The Mamertines then used the city as a base to attack surrounding settlements in the countryside, leading to an inevitable clash with Syracuse. Hiero II of Syracuse overran the Mamertines near Mylae, now Milazzo on the north coastline, and immediately turned on Messina. Carthage supported the Mamertines as part of their long-standing campaign against Syracuse. Hiero attacked the city again in 264 BC. The Mamertines now sought support from the Roman Republic. The Romans were initially reluctant to assist a mutinous group like the Mamertines, but they were equally wary of the sphere of influence of Carthage across Sicily and how it posed a risk across into the mainland of Italy. For now, Rome pledged an alliance of convenience with the Mamertines and deployed Roman troops for the first time into Sicily in 264 BC. The First Punic War began and saw Messina as a free city allied with Rome. The city, then known as Messana, had a strategically important lighthouse, a fact not lost on the Romans. Indeed, Sextus Pompeius used Messana in his war against Octavian. As the Western Roman Empire collapsed, the Goths entered Messina in 476. Messina was subsequently ruled by a number of groups: the Byzantine Empire in 535, the Arabs in 842, and the Normans, Robert and Roger Guiscard, in 1061. The latter, who would become Roger I of Sicily. The English king Richard I, Coeur de Lion, passed through Messina in 1189 as he travelled to the Holy Land for the Third Crusade. For a short period he occupied Messina over a dispute concerning a dowry. His sister had married William the Good, King of Sicily. Tragically, the Black Death entered Western Europe through a number of ports, one of which was Messina, in 1347. Infected Genoese galleys returned from the Ukraine into Messina. It is believed the plague was spread on the Asian trade routes and through the infected Mongol armies led by Janibeg. There were records of death ships from the east, boats where the entire crew were either dead or dying of plague. The Black Death devastated the city of Messina and quickly spread into mainland Italy and across Sicily. St. Ignatius and the Pope founded the first Jesuit college in the world in 1548, which is now the University of Messina, or Unime. Christian, that is, Spanish and Venetian ships left Messina for the prolonged naval battle of Lepanto in 1571. This was one of the largest naval battles ever fought. After a prolonged clash, the Christian fleet defeated an Ottoman navy in an area of the sea to the west of Greece. The esteemed Spanish author Miguel de Cervantes, who you may have heard of as the author of Don Quixote, fought in the Battle of Lepanto and recovered from his wounds in the Grand Hospital in Messina. Messina was at its glory and its height in the early 17th century, still under Spanish control, but one of the great European cities. The Messina Revolt of 1672-78 saw the population rise up against the Spanish garrison in 1674. The Viceroy of Sicily, Claude Lamoral, lost control and resigned. Messina pitched for French support, which was provided. The French Navy initially won victories against the Dutch and Spanish Navy in Lipari. Messina remained temporarily independent still, supported by French King Louis XIV. In a very ignoble end, Louis XIV sent an ambassador, Valbel, to apparently replace the Spanish viceroy in 1678. In reality, the instructions for the ambassador were to plan a swift French evacuation. The Spaniards returned to Messina, promising an amnesty to all, and promptly sacked the city. The university, the senate, the independence enjoyed since Roman times all disappeared. While Fortress Real Cittadella was built by the Spanish to retain control, the people of Messina continued to suffer, and a further 48,000 people died of the plague in 1743. The earthquake of 1783 devastated Messina, damage from which the city never truly recovered. Risorgimento riots broke out in Messina in 1847, demanding a reunification of Italy and Sicily. By 1848, the Bourbons, effectively the French, were violently cracking down on the ongoing unrest. The Battle of Milazzo in 1860 resulted in the troops of Garibaldi finally entering Messina. A key Risorgimento figure, Giuseppe Mazzini, was elected deputy at Messina in 1866. A further earthquake struck the city in 1894. In 1908, the city saw the twin perils of earthquake and tsunami, which killed approximately 100,000 people, devastated the city's ancient architecture, albeit the rebuilding activities began straight away. In 1943, this strategic importance caused serious damage as a result of Allied air raids. During the Allied invasion of Sicily, Messina was specifically targeted due to its link to the mainland by both British and American air forces. A third of the city was destroyed and nearly 1,000 civilians died. The 11th century Matagrifone Castle was originally built by Richard I. It was also used by relations of Charles I Anjou during the Sicilian Vespers, as they hid while they were trying to flee. The cathedral, Il Duomo, was built in the 12th century and include the remains of King Conrad, ruler of Sicily. It was rebuilt in 1919-20 as a result of the 1908 earthquake, and again after the Allied bombings in 1943. The Church of the Santissima Annunziata dei Catalani, late 12th-13th century, includes Arabic architectural influences. The Church of Santa Maria degli Alemanni, early 13th century, was formerly a chapel of the Teutonic Knights. It is a rare example of a Gothic building in Sicily. The Palazzo Calapai dal Contres is a rare 18th century building which survived the 1908 earthquake. The Forte del Santissimo Salvatore, Madonna della Lettera, a 16th century fort in the port of Messina which took part during the War of the Sicilian Vespers. The Forte Gonzaga was named after the Spanish viceroy, a 16th century fort overlooking Messina, and was built to resist any Ottoman invasion. During the Sicilian Rebellion of 1848, rebels used Forte Gonzago to shell Real Cittadella. Porta Grazia was the 17th century gate to the Real Cittadella di Messina. It was built as the Spanish battled to retain control. Messina and Taormina hosted the Messina Conference of the Western European Foreign Ministers, which led to the founding of the European Economic Community in 1955. Messina's main focus in modern times is the maritime industry, both commercial and military, agriculture, which focuses on wine, lemons, oranges and olives. The Fountain of Orion was built in 1547 by a student of Michelangelo. Some believe it to be the most beautiful fountain of the 16th century anywhere in Europe. The Fountain of Neptune was built in 1557. The monument to John of Austria was in honour of the Battle of Lepanto and was built in 1572. The Senatory Fountain was built in 1619. Only 2 of the original 4 fountains still exist. Messina has enjoyed many references by literary greats. It is referenced by the works of Plutarch, Boccaccio, Shakespeare, Molière and Nietzsche.